The holographic projection showed the Valak's Supreme Chancellor kneeling. Her scales had lost their shine. Her 6 eyes were dimmed with exhaustion and defeat. Before her stood Commander Day-1, his image transmitted from Terra Station to the Valak's homeworld. "Mercy," the Chancellor said. Her voice broke on the word. "Please, my people are suffering. The blockade has cut off food supplies. Children are dying." Day-1's expression remained cold. "You sterilized 17 worlds. Billions died at your command. Children died screaming. Where was your mercy then?" The Chancellor lowered her head. "I cannot undo the past. I can only beg for the future. Let food shipments through. Let medical supplies reach our hospitals. We have accepted your terms. We are prisoners in our own system. Is that not enough?" On Earth, the Leadership Council watched the transmission. President Yunji sat at the head of the table. Around her were military leaders, scientists, and civilian advisors. They had been debating for hours. "We've made our point," Yunji said. "The Valaks are defeated. Continuing the blockade serves no strategic purpose. It's just cruelty now." General Hyunwoo disagreed. "With respect, Madam President, cruelty is a strategic tool. Every species watching needs to understand the price of attacking humanity. Fear keeps us safe." "No," said a woman named Yunji, one of the civilian advisors. "Fear creates enemies. We need to show we can be merciful, that we're not the monsters they're starting to believe we are." Kyung-soo, the intelligence chief, pulled up data on his tablet. "I have reports on Valak's culture. Their entire civilization is built around conquest and strength. If we show mercy, they will interpret it as weakness. Within a generation, they'll try to rebuild their military. Then we prevent that," Yunji replied. "We monitor them. We maintain the quarantine. But we don't starve children to make a point." The debate continued. Commander Day-1, still in the holographic meeting with the Valak's Chancellor, received the Council's decision through his earpiece. He nodded slowly. "The blockade will be modified," he told the Chancellor. "Food and medical supplies will be allowed through. But understand this. Any attempt to rebuild your military will result in immediate and total destruction. We will be watching, always." The Chancellor's relief was visible. "Thank you. We will not forget this mercy." "Good," Day-1 said. "Because if you betray this trust, there will be no second chance. No negotiation, no mercy, only extinction." The transmission ended, but humanity's problems were just beginning. Intelligence analyst Bora had been working around the clock, monitoring the 12 species that were coordinating their response to humanity. She finally broke through their encryption, and what she found made her blood run cold. She ran to the communication center. "Get me Commander Day-1 immediately. Priority Alpha." Within seconds, Day-1's face appeared on her screen. "What is it, Bora?" "Sir, the Coalition. I've translated their communications. They're not planning an attack. They're planning something worse." She sent him the files. "They're creating a containment sphere. Economic sanctions, trade blockades, information quarantine. They want to isolate Earth completely." Day-1 read through the documents quickly. His jaw tightened. "When? 3 months. They're coordinating to move simultaneously. If one species sanctions us alone, we could find other trading partners. But if 12 major powers do it together, we'll be cut off from galactic trade." "Which species are involved?" Bora displayed the list. "The Trell, the Kelvin Consortium, the Daxon Empire, the Verid Union, and 8 others. Together, they control 60% of galactic commerce." On Earth, President Yunji called an emergency cabinet meeting. The economic implications were staggering. Humanity had spent 2 centuries building trade relationships. Now those relationships were being weaponized against them. Minister of Trade Soman, who had returned from the assembly, laid out the situation. "Without access to rare elements from the Kelvin Consortium, our advanced manufacturing stops. Without Trell computational crystals, our quantum networks fail. Without Verid biotechnology, our medical research stalls. This isn't just about money. It's about our technological foundation. Can we sustain ourselves independently?" Yunji asked. "For a while," Somin admitted. "We have stockpiles. We can mine our own system. But long-term, we'll stagnate. Technology requires resources we don't have locally." General Hyunwoo slammed his fist on the table. "Then we force them to trade with us. We have the most powerful military in the galaxy. We can take what we need." "No," Yunji said firmly. "That path leads to endless war. We become exactly what they fear. An aggressive empire that takes by force. I won't allow that." Kyung-soo spoke up. There's another option. We could expose the coalition. Use Aerie to reveal their plans to their own populations. Create internal political pressure. That could work, Soman said, but it would also deepen the mistrust. They would see it as more manipulation, more proof that we're dangerous. The room fell silent. Every option seemed to lead to a bad outcome. Meanwhile, Commander Taeyong returned from his mission in Valak space. His shadow fleet had successfully destroyed every major military installation in the former Dominion. The job was done, but as he docked at Terra Station, he felt uneasy. He had spent 20 years in the shadows watching enemies, gathering intelligence. He knew how the galaxy worked. And he knew humanity had made a strategic error. He requested a meeting with Commander Daewon. In the private office, Taeyong spoke frankly. Sir, we won the battle, but we're losing the peace. The galaxy is uniting against us. I know, Daewon said quietly. I've been reviewing the intelligence reports. We revealed too much too fast, Taeyong continued. We should have hidden our capabilities longer. Now every species sees us as a threat. We're powerful but alone. Daewon nodded. I've been thinking the same thing. But we had no choice. The Valaks were attacking. We had to respond with overwhelming force to prevent future attacks. The radiation storm hit the wildfire like a hammer. Every screen in the cockpit flickered and died, then came back to life showing nothing but static. Daesung flew blind, trusting his instruments and his gut. Behind him, he heard Isol groan. Still with me? He called back. Barely. Her voice was weaker now. The fight was draining her fast. The Vornaxi ships followed them into the storm, but they were hanging back. They were smarter than he was, probably. They knew the radiation could fry their systems. But they also knew that eventually Daesung would have to come out. They could wait. Daesung had other plans. He pulled up his medical kit from the storage compartment under his seat. Inside were combat stimulants, the kind that could keep a human soldier fighting even with serious injuries. They were strong, probably too strong for someone who was not human. Isol, I need you to listen, he said. You're going into shock. Your body is shutting down. I have medicine that might help, but it's made for humans. It could kill you, she laughed, a wet sound. I am already dying. That's not a yes. Do it. Daesung reached back and found her arm. The scales were cold to the touch, colder than they should be. He pressed the injector against her neck, where he hoped a major blood vessel would be, and triggered it. The stimulant hissed into her body. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Isol's whole body went rigid. Her breathing stopped. Daesung's heart dropped into his stomach. He had just killed her. Then she gasped, a huge lungful of air, and her eyes snapped open. What was that? She demanded, her voice suddenly strong. Military-grade wake-up juice. How do you feel? Like my blood is on fire. She shifted in the cramped space behind his seat. But I can think again. Human medicine is insane. It's kept me alive through 3 tours. Now talk to me. What happened to your ship? While Daesung navigated through the storm, following gaps in the radiation that his sensors could barely detect, Isol told her story. She had been leading a diplomatic mission to meet with human representatives. The Dracian Empire wanted to strengthen ties with humanity, share technology and resources. It would have been good for both sides. But someone did not want that. We were ambushed 2 hours into the neutral zone. She said, 6 ships with Council security transponders. They demanded we stop for inspection. When we complied, they opened fire immediately. No warning, no mercy. Did you recognize any of the attackers? One, Counselor Hyunwoo. Daesung's hands tightened on the controls. Hyunwoo was a human representative on the Galactic Council. He had been one of the first humans elected to the position, a source of pride for Earth. Are you sure? I saw his face on the communication screen before they fired. He was smiling. The implications hit Daesung like a physical blow. A human counselor attacking a Draken diplomatic mission. If this got out, if anyone believed it, there would be war. The Draken Empire would demand justice. Humanity would defend its representative. The galaxy would burn. The data crystal, he said. What's on it? Everything. Communications between Hyunwoo and the Vornaxi Consortium. Financial records. Battle plans. He has been working with them for months. The plan is to start a war between the Draken and humanity. Both empires will exhaust themselves fighting. The Vornaxi will move into the neutral territories and claim all the resources there. Trillions of credits worth of minerals and rare elements. Daesung wanted to curse, but he was too busy dodging a radiation surge that nearly cooked his ship's reactor. So we take the evidence to the council. We expose him. It is not that simple. Hyunwoo has allies, powerful ones. If we go through official channels, the evidence will disappear. I will disappear. You will disappear. Then what do we do? I do not know. I was supposed to die in that ambush. You were not part of the plan. His radio crackled to life. Admiral Ji-won's voice cut through the static. Wildfire, this is Horizon's Edge. Respond immediately. Dae-sung keyed his mic. This is Wildfire. I'm here, Admiral. What is your status? I'm in the radiation storm with a wounded Draken ambassador. 3 Vornaxi mercenaries are waiting for me to come out. Other than that, everything is great. This is not funny, Captain. You have violated direct orders. You are facing court-martial and possible prison time. Surrender your passenger to the nearest council authority and return to base. Last chance, Dae-sung looked at his fuel gauge. He had enough to get out of the storm and maybe make it to a council station. If he did what Ji-won ordered, his career might be salvageable. He would face discipline, but he would survive. Isol would not. Admiral, I'm invoking Regulation 7 Alpha. No sentient being in distress shall be abandoned when aid is possible. Isol needs medical care that only a proper facility can provide. I'm taking her to get it. There are council facilities nearby that are probably controlled by the people who tried to kill her. No thanks. Dae-sung. Ji-won's voice softened. I understand what you're trying to do, but you are one pilot and one fighter. You cannot take on the entire system. Watch me. He cut the channel again. Isol was quiet behind him. You are throwing away your life for me, she said finally. Why? Dae-sung thought about that while he steered around another radiation pocket. I had a squad mate once, guy named Taemin. We were pinned down during the border conflicts and he took a bad hit. Command said to leave him, that extracting him would risk the whole unit. I went anyway. Carried him 3 kilometers under fire. He survived. And your commanders rewarded you? They gave me a medal and a reprimand. The medal was for bravery. The reprimand was for being an idiot. He smiled. Worth it, though. Taemin sends me a message every year on the anniversary. He's got 2 kids now. So this is a human thing, this refusal to accept loss. Maybe. Or maybe it's just me being stubborn. Either way, you're not dying today if I can help it. The edge of the storm was ahead. Dae-sung's sensors were starting to clear. He could see the Vornaxi ships waiting like patient spiders. 3 against 1. Bad odds. Then an idea hit him. Crazy, but possible. Isol, do you still have command access to Draken military channels? Yes, but they will not help. The nearest Draken forces are days away. I don't need help. I need an address. Can you get me the location of Kareth Prime? There was a pause. The border station? That is deep in Draken space. They will shoot you on sight. Not if you tell them not to. You're an ambassador. You have authority. I am a wounded ambassador traveling with a human pilot during a time of heightened tensions. They may not listen. Only one way to find out. Dae-sung plotted the course. It would take them straight past the Vornaxi ships and then into territory where no human had permission to go. Suicide, basically. But Isol needed Draken medical care. The stimulants were keeping her alive, but they would not last forever. Human medicine could only patch her up. To actually heal, she needed her own people's technology. Do you trust me? He asked her. Another pause. Then, I am still alive because you refuse to give up. Yes, I trust you. Good. Hold tight. Dae-sung slammed the throttle forward. The wildfire burst out of the radiation storm at full speed, heading straight toward the Vornaxi ships. Their weapons locked on immediately. Alarms screamed in his cockpit. He fired his missiles not at the ships but at the debris field behind them. The warheads detonated in sequence, turning chunks of wreckage into an expanding cloud of metal shrapnel. The Vornaxi ships scattered, breaking their formation. Dae-sung flew through the gap they left. Plasma bolts chased him, superheating his shields. One got through, scorching his wing. The wildfire shook but held together. He pushed the engines past their safety limits. The temperature gauges climbed into the red. The ship screamed, but they were pulling away. Isil, I need those codes now. She was already working, her clawed fingers moving across a data pad she had pulled from her torn uniform. Transmitting to your navigation system. But Dae-sung, there is something you should know about Kareth Prime. What's that? The commander there is Tai Yang. He is not known for his flexibility. Is he known for letting ambassadors die? No. Then we'll work with that. The jump to faster-than-light travel engaged. The stars stretched into lines. The Vornaxi ships fell behind, unable to follow without knowing their destination. For a moment, there was peace. Just the hum of the engines and Isol's labored breathing. Thank you, she said quietly. Thank me when we're safe. I mean it. You could have left me. Most would have. Dae-sung shrugged. Humans don't leave people behind, it's kind of our thing. Sometimes it's stupid. Sometimes it gets us killed. But it's also why we're still around after all the wars and disasters. We don't quit on each other. Your species is very strange. Yeah, we get that a lot. The jump would take 30 minutes. Dae-sung used the time to check Isol's injuries as best he could. The stimulants had stabilized her, but she was far from okay. She needed real medical care soon. When they dropped out of faster-than-light travel, Kareth Prime filled his view screen. It was a massive station, all sharp angles and gleaming metal. Weapons platforms tracked his approach immediately. Unidentified, human vessel, you are in restricted Draken space. Power down and prepare to be boarded or you will be fired upon. Isul leaned forward and spoke into the comm. This is Ambassador Isol of the Third Clutch. Authorization code Theta-7 Emerald. I am wounded and require immediate medical assistance. The human pilot is under my protection. Silence. Then a new voice, deep and commanding. Ambassador, this is Commander Tae Yang. Your ship was reported destroyed. How? Later, Commander. Please, I am dying. Medical teams are standing by, but the human saved my life. He comes with me. Another pause. Understood, Ambassador. Bring him in. But he does not leave your side. Dae-sung let out a breath he had not realized he was holding. Thank you, Commander. Do not thank me yet, human. We will have many questions. The wildfire limped into the docking bay, smoke trailing from its damaged wing. As the canopy opened, Draken medical personnel rushed forward. They stopped when they saw Isol's condition, their faces showing shock. Dae-sung helped her out of the cockpit. She leaned heavily on him, the stimulants finally wearing off. Made it, he said. Barely. She managed to smile. You humans and your stubborn hope. It's gotten us this far. As the medics took Isol away on a stretcher, Dae-sung stood in the docking bay, surrounded by Draken warriors with weapons pointed at him. He was alone in hostile territory with no backup coming. But Isol was getting help. That was what mattered. Commander Tae Yang approached, a massive Draken with silver scales and eyes like ice. You have caused quite a situation, human. Dae-sung met his gaze. Sir, I have evidence of a conspiracy to start a war between our peoples. With respect, the situation was already pretty bad. I just made it interesting. Commander Tae Yang did not lower his weapon. Around the docking bay, a dozen Draken warriors kept their rifles trained on Dae-sung. The message was clear. He was tolerated, not trusted. You say you have evidence, Tae Yang said. His voice was calm, but his tail swished behind him in agitation. Dae-sung had learned enough about Draken body language to know that was a bad sign. Show me. Dae-sung slowly reached into his pocket and pulled out the data crystal. Tae Yang's eyes narrowed. What is that? Everything. Communications, financial records, attack plans. Ambassador Isil gave it to me before I brought her here. It proves that Counselor Hyeon-woo and the Vornaxi Consortium planned the attack on her ship. They want a war between our people. Tae Yang took the crystal, examining it. If this is true, it is an act of war. It is true. But if we go through normal channels, the evidence will disappear. Hyun-woo has too much influence. Then what do you propose, human? Before Dae-sung could answer, an alarm blared through the station. A technician called out from a control panel. Commander, the ambassador's medical team is reporting complications. They need specialized equipment from Medical Bay 3. Taeyang's expression darkened. What kind of complications? Her internal injuries are worse than initial scans showed, and there is contamination in her bloodstream. Unknown origin. Daesung's stomach dropped. The stimulants. The human medicine I gave her. It kept her alive, but her body might be rejecting it now. Taeyang rounded on him. You gave her human medicine? She was dying. I did what I could. You may have poisoned her. The commander's hand went to his sidearm. Or I saved her life long enough to get her here. Check the timeline. Without those stimulants, she would have died in my cockpit. Daesung stepped forward, ignoring the weapons pointed at him. Look, we can argue about my medical decisions later. Right now, tell me what she needs. The technician spoke up. The medical team needs a regeneration unit from Bay 3. But that section was damaged in a power surge yesterday. It is sealed off pending repairs. Damaged? Daesung felt ice in his veins. Or sabotaged? Taeyang's eyes widened. You think the conspiracy reaches here? I think that if I was trying to kill a Draken ambassador, I would make sure she could not get proper medical care even if she survived. This evidence proves there are traitors in the council. Why not in the military too? The commander growled, a deep sound that made the hair on Daesung's neck stand up. But Taeyang was thinking now, not just reacting. Technician, get me a status report on Medical Bay 3. I want to know exactly what failed and when. While they waited, Daesung watched the medical team's work on Isul through a view screen. She looked small on the table, surrounded by Draken doctors and nurses. Machines beeped around her. He could not hear what they were saying, but he could see the urgency in their movements. Human, Taeyang said. What is your name? Captain Daesung, sir. United Earth Service. You disobeyed orders to bring her here. Yes, sir. Why? Daesung met his gaze. Because it was the right thing to do. Taeyang studied him for a long moment. Your superiors will not agree. Probably not, sir. The technician returned, his face pale. Commander, the damage to Medical Bay 3 was not accidental. Someone overloaded the power regulators deliberately, and it happened 6 hours ago before the ambassador's ship was even attacked. The docking bay went silent. Every Draken warrior understood the implications. Someone had known Isul would be injured. Someone had prepared for her possible survival. Someone on this station was a traitor. Taeyang's expression went cold. Seal the station. No one enters or leaves. Begin security sweeps of all personnel. He turned to Daesung. You come with me. If we cannot use the regeneration unit, we need another solution. They ran through the corridors, Taeyang's guards surrounding them. Daesung's comm unit buzzed. He answered to find Admiral Jiwon's face glaring at him. Daesung, what have you done? I am getting reports that you are on a Draken military station. Yes, ma'am. I can explain. You do not have time to explain. Get out of there now. The Draken are mobilizing their fleets. There are reports of human ships being challenged at the border. We are on the edge of war. Admiral, that is exactly what someone wants. There is a conspiracy. I know about the conspiracy. Counselor Hyan Wu has presented evidence to the Galactic Council that Draken extremists attacked their own diplomat to create a false flag. He has witnesses. Documents. The Council is voting on sanctions against the Draken Empire within the hour. Daesung felt the world tilt. He is framing them. But I have evidence that proves he is behind the attack. Then you need to get that evidence to the Council immediately. But you are trapped on a Draken station with no way out. An idea formed. Crazy, but possible. Admiral, I need you to patch me through to Dr. Bora. The xenobiologist? What does she have to do with this? Isul is dying. The Draken medical systems are sabotaged. I need human help to save her. Daesung, you cannot perform surgery on a Draken. The biology is completely different. I know. That is why I need Dr. Bora to talk me through it. If Isul dies, the evidence dies with her. Hyunwoo wins. There will be war. Jiwon closed her eyes. You are insane. Probably. Will you help me? A pause that lasted forever. Then Jiwon nodded. Connecting you now. But Daesung, after this is over, you and I are going to have a very long conversation about following orders. Looking forward to it, ma'am. Dr. Bora's face appeared on his screen. She was young, brilliant, and looked terrified. Captain? The Admiral says you need surgical assistance. Can you walk me through saving a Draken life? I've never performed surgery on a Draken. I've only studied their biology and theory. Theory is better than nothing. I need you, Doctor. They reached the medical bay. Isul was worse. Her scales had lost their shine. Her breathing was shallow. The Draken doctors stood around her, helpless. One of them, an older female with blue scales, turned to Tae Yang. "We have done all we can without the regeneration unit. She needs cellular repair at a level we cannot provide with standard equipment. She has perhaps an hour." Daesung stepped forward. "Let me try." The Draken doctor stared at him. You are human. You know nothing of our physiology. I know how to follow instructions, and I have a xenobiologist who can guide me." He held up his comm, showing Dr. Bora. "We can combine your knowledge of Draken biology with human medical technology. It might work." "It will kill her!" "She is already dying." Daesung's voice was harder than he intended. He took a breath. "Look, I'm not saying I know better. I am saying we try something instead of nothing, please." Tae Yang made the decision. "Do it. The ambassador trusted you enough to come here. I will trust you enough to try." The next hour was a nightmare of controlled chaos. Dr. Bora talked Daesung through procedures that should have been impossible. The Draken doctors provided guidance on where the injuries were and what they would normally do. Daesung's hands became the bridge between two medical systems that had never been meant to work together. "Her internal structure is different from humans," Dr. Bora said. "The organs are denser, arranged in layers. You need to reach the third layer to stop the bleeding." "How do I get there without cutting through everything else?" One of the Draken doctors spoke up. "We use cellular phase tools. They pass through healthy tissue and solidify only on damaged cells. We do not have those," Daesung said. "But we have nanosutures. They are programmable. Could we set them to target only damaged tissue?" Dr. Bora's eyes widened. "In theory, yes. If we can adapt the programming." "Give me a moment." While she worked, Daesung used a Draken regenerative serum to stabilize Isol's vital signs. The serum was designed for their biology, but Dr. Bora had noticed that some of the compounds were similar to human growth factors. Together, they calculated a dose that might work. It should not have been possible. The technologies were incompatible. The biology was too different. But Daesung had learned one thing in all his years of service. Sometimes, when you combined human stubbornness with alien ingenuity, impossible became possible. The nanosutures worked. Slowly, carefully, they sealed Isol's internal injuries. The Draken doctors watched in amazement as human technology did what their own tools could not. "Her cellular rejection is stabilizing," the blue-scaled doctor said. "How is this working?" "Because we stopped trying to do it the right way and started doing it the effective way," Daesung said. His hands were shaking. He had been working for 40 minutes straight with no room for error. Isol's breathing deepened. Color returned to her scales. Her vital signs steadied. She lived. Daesung stepped back, nearly falling. Tae Yang caught him. "You did it, human. We did it. All of us." Daesung looked at the Draken doctors. "Thank you for trusting me." The blue-scaled doctor inclined her head. "You saved one of our own. We will not forget this." But there was no time to celebrate. Daesung pulled out the data crystal. "Commander, we need to get this evidence to the council now, before they vote on those sanctions." Tae Yang's expression was grim. "The council will not accept evidence from a Draken military station. They will say we fabricated it. Then we do not give it to them through official channels." Daesung's mind was racing. "We broadcast it. All frequencies. Human, Draken, council channels. Make it public. They cannot suppress what everyone has already seen. That would be a violation of every communication protocol." "Yes, sir, it would." Tae Yang showed his teeth in what might have been a smile. "I am starting to understand why your admiral sounds so tired when she speaks of you." They moved to the station's communication center. Tae Yang's technicians loaded the data crystal and prepared to broadcast. Daesung opened a channel to every receiver he could reach. "This is Captain Daesung of the United Earth Service. I am broadcasting evidence of a conspiracy to start a war between humanity and the Draken Empire. What you're about to see proves that Counselor Hyun Woo has been working with the Vornaxi Consortium to manufacture this conflict. I am making this public because official channels have been compromised. Judge for yourselves." He triggered the broadcast. Across the galaxy, on ships and stations and planets, the evidence played. Communications between Hyun Woo and Vornaxi warlords. Payment records showing millions of credits changing hands. Tactical plans for the ambush on Isol's ship. Video of Hyan Wu's face as he ordered the attack. It was irrefutable. It was damning. It was everywhere. Dae-sung watched the data spread across every channel. There was no stopping it now. No suppressing it. The truth was out. His comm unit exploded with messages. Admiral Jiwon furious and proud at the same time. Human command demanding to know what he had done. The council trying to shut down the transmission. Too late, everyone had seen it. Isol's voice, weak but alive, came from behind him. You did it. You stopped the war. Dae-sung turned to see her sitting up on the medical table, supported by the doctors. We stopped it. All of us. And destroyed your career in the process. He shrugged. Seemed like a fair trade. Tae-yang approached, his expression unreadable. Captain Dae-sung, you have violated approximately 47 different regulations, started a political firestorm, and committed acts that will likely result in your court-martial. Yes, sir. You also saved thousands, perhaps millions of lives. The commander's expression softened slightly. The Draken people will remember what you did here. I just did what anyone should do, sir. No, Isol said softly. You did what only a human would do. You refused to give up when anyone sensible would have. Outside, Dae-sung could see ships arriving at the station. Human security forces. Council representatives. Everyone wanted answers. Everyone wanted to arrest someone. He had prevented a war, but the chaos was just beginning, and somewhere in that chaos he would have to face the consequences of his choices. But for now, Isol was alive. The truth was out. That was enough. The holding cell on Nexus 7 was cleaner than Dae-sung expected. It had a bed, a sink, and a window that looked out into space. Not bad for a prison. He had been here for 3 weeks while lawyers and diplomats argued about what to do with him. The problem was that everyone wanted a piece of him. The United Earth Service wanted to court-martial him for disobeying orders and desertion. The Galactic Council wanted to try him for espionage and unauthorized intelligence disclosure. The Vornaxi, furious that their conspiracy had been exposed, were demanding his execution for terrorism. Only the Draken Empire was arguing for his release, but their support made everything more complicated. Today was the tribunal. Today, he would finally learn his fate. 2 guards, one human and one from a species he did not recognize, came to escort him to the hearing chamber. They put restraints on his wrists. Protocol, they said. He did not argue. The chamber was enormous, designed to hold representatives from dozens of species. Dae-sung was led to a small platform in the center, surrounded by elevated benches where the judges sat. Above him, viewing galleries were packed with observers. This trial was being broadcast across the galaxy. Everyone wanted to see what happened to the human who had stopped a war by breaking every rule. The chief judge was a Kalathi, a species known for their strict adherence to law. Her name was Magistrate Vara, and her 4 eyes regarded Dae-sung with no warmth. Captain Dae-sung, she said, her voice amplified through the chamber. You stand accused of multiple violations of military code, galactic law, and diplomatic protocol. How do you plead? Dae-sung stood straight. Guilty, Your Honor. I broke the rules. I knew I was breaking them. I would do it again. A murmur ran through the gallery. Magistrate Vara's eyes narrowed. You admit your guilt? I admit I violated regulations. I do not admit I did anything wrong. Explain the difference. The regulations exist to serve a purpose, to protect life and maintain peace. When following them would have caused the opposite, when it would have resulted in death and war, then the regulations failed their purpose. I chose to serve the purpose instead of the rules. The prosecution, led by a stern human commander named General Kwan, stood. Your Honor, the accused admits he placed his own judgment above that of his superiors, above galactic law, above the very structure that maintains peace among the stars. This is not heroism. This is dangerous individualism that threatens everything we have built. General Kwan paced before the judges. Captain Dae-sung disobeyed direct orders in a combat situation. He fled with classified information. He invaded sovereign Draken space without authorization. He broadcast sensitive intelligence on public channels, causing political chaos. And he claims these actions were justified because he believed he was right. The general turned to face Dae-sung. If we allow every individual to decide which laws apply to them, we have no civilization. We have chaos. Captain Daesung may have had good intentions, but intentions do not excuse actions. He must face the full consequences. Admiral Jiwon was called to testify. She looked tired, older than when Daesung had last seen her. She explained the orders she had given, how Daesung had ignored them, how his actions had put him and others at risk. Did you consider Captain Daesung's actions justified? General Kwan asked. Jiwon hesitated. Justified? No, he violated orders. He put himself in danger. He created a political nightmare. She paused. But he also saved a life and prevented a war. As his commander, I must condemn his methods. As a human being, I cannot help but admire his principles. That is not an answer, Admiral. It is the only answer I have, General. Captain Daesung is guilty of every charge. He is also a hero. Both things are true. The testimony continued for hours. Expert after expert explained how Daesung's actions had violated protocol, endangered diplomatic relations, and set a dangerous precedent. The evidence was overwhelming. Then the defense began. Daesung's lawyer was a woman named Young Mi, sharp and relentless. She was human, but she had made her name defending cases across the galaxy. She stood before the judges with confidence. The prosecution is correct, she said. Captain Daesung broke rules. Many rules. But let us examine why those rules exist. They exist to protect life, to maintain peace, to ensure justice. In this case, following those rules would have achieved the opposite. Ambassador Isol would be dead. The conspiracy would remain hidden. War would have come. She pulled up holographic displays showing the evidence from the data crystal. Counselor Hyunwoo and the Vornaxi Consortium planned to sacrifice thousands of lives for profit. They destroyed a diplomatic vessel. They murdered Draken citizens. They were prepared to watch two empires tear each other apart, and they would have succeeded if Captain Daesung had followed orders. Young Mi turned to the judges. The prosecution argues that allowing individuals to ignore laws creates chaos. I argue that blindly following laws when they serve injustice creates something worse. It creates a system that protects the powerful and sacrifices the innocent. Captain Daesung saw an injustice and acted to stop it. That is not chaos. That is conscience. Your Honor, General Kwan interrupted, the defense is asking us to legitimize vigilantism. No, Young Mi said. I am asking you to recognize that laws are tools, not gods. When a tool fails its purpose, wisdom demands we question it, not worship it blindly. Captain Daesung did not act from arrogance. He acted from desperation. The system had been corrupted. The official channels were compromised. He saw one chance to do the right thing and took it. The next witness was Dr. Bora. She explained the medical procedure, how impossible it should have been, how human and Draken technology had combined in ways no one had thought possible. What Captain Daesung did in that medical bay was not just save a life, she said. He showed us something we had forgotten. That different species, different technologies, different approaches can work together, if we are willing to try. He did not follow Draken methods or human methods. He created something new, and it worked because he refused to accept that it could not work. Then Commander Tae-yang took the stand. The massive Draken warrior commanded attention just by standing. I was prepared to arrest Captain Daesung when he arrived at Karath Prime, he said. He was an intruder in our space, but he had saved one of our ambassadors. He had evidence of a conspiracy against both our peoples, and when our medical systems failed, he found a way to save Ambassador Isol's life despite having no training in Draken medicine. What is your assessment of his actions? Young Mi asked. Reckless, brilliant, necessary. Tae-yang met Daesung's eyes across the chamber. The Draken value honor above all else. Captain Daesung embodied it in ways that shame many of my own kind. He saw a life in danger and refused to abandon it, regardless of cost to himself. That is the definition of honor. The prosecution tried to undermine the testimony. Commander, you admit the captain violated Draken sovereignty. Yes. That he brought unauthorized technology to your station. Yes. That his actions could have been interpreted as an act of war. They could have been, but they were not. Intent matters. He came to save a life, not take one. He came to prevent war, not start it. Judge him by his intentions and his results, not by technicalities of law. Finally, Isul herself was called to testify. She had recovered fully, her scales gleaming emerald once more. She stood before the judges with quiet dignity. Tell us what happened after Captain Dae-sung found you, Magistrate Vera said. Isil described the rescue, the flight through the nebula, the desperate journey to Kareth Prime. Her voice was steady as she spoke. I told him it was too late for me, that he should save himself and deliver the evidence. He refused. He said he had seen too many lost causes walk away. And how do you view his actions now? He saved my life at the cost of his career. He prevented a war at the cost of his freedom. He did everything right while breaking every rule. Isil turned to look at Dae-sung. The Draken have a saying. Actions reveal character. Captain Dae-sung's actions revealed someone who values life above law, justice above career, conscience above convenience. We need more beings like him, not fewer. Even if his methods were illegal, especially then, when the legal path leads to injustice, only the illegal path remains for the just. The testimony ended. The judges conferred for hours while Dae-sung waited. The chamber remained packed, everyone wanting to see the verdict. Finally, Magistrate Vara returned. The chamber fell silent. This tribunal has reached a decision. Captain Dae-sung, you are guilty of all charges. You violated military orders, diplomatic protocols, and galactic communications law. Under normal circumstances, these violations would result in decades of imprisonment. Dae-sung stood ready to accept it. He had known the risks. However, Magistrate Vara continued, these are not normal circumstances. You acted to prevent a war. You exposed a conspiracy that reached the highest levels of the Council. You saved lives, both directly through your rescue of Ambassador Isil and indirectly by revealing the truth. She paused, her 4 eyes studying him. This tribunal finds itself facing a contradiction. We cannot condone your actions without undermining the law. We cannot condemn them without betraying justice. Therefore, we have reached a compromise. You will be dishonorably discharged from the United Earth Service, effective immediately. You will face no criminal charges. You are free to go, but your military career is over. This tribunal hopes that this sends a message. Rules matter, but so does conscience. May future generations learn to balance both better than we have. The gavel fell. The chamber erupted in noise, some cheering, some protesting. Dae-sung felt numb. He was free. But everything he had worked for his entire career was gone. Admiral Ji-won approached as the guards removed his restraints. Dae-sung, I'm sorry. Do not be Admiral. I made my choice. You did, and I will spend the rest of my career wondering if I would have had the courage to make the same one. She saluted him, a gesture she did not owe a discharged officer. It has been an honor serving with you, Captain. Likewise, ma'am. Outside the chamber, media crews swarmed. Dae-sung pushed through them, saying nothing. He did not know what came next. He had no job, no prospects, no plan, but he had done the right thing. Somehow that was enough. Isil found him an hour later on an observation deck, staring out at the stars. You are free, she said. Technically, not sure what I'm free to do. I may have a suggestion about that. She handed him a datapad. On it was an official document with the seal of the Draken Empire. This is an offer of citizenship and a position in our diplomatic corps. You saved one life, Captain. Help us save civilizations. Dae-sung stared at the document. It was an honor no human had ever received. But it meant leaving humanity, leaving everything familiar. I need to think about this. Take your time. The offer remains open. Isil paused. There is another option. Several independent colonies have contacted me. They want to fund a rescue and mediation service. No government. No bureaucracy, just helping those who need it. They asked if you would be interested. Why me? Because you proved something they believe in. That one person acting on conscience can make a difference. They want someone who will not give up, even when it seems impossible. Before Dae-sung could respond, young Mi appeared, followed by Dr. Bo-ra, Commander Tae-yang, and to his surprise, Admiral Ji-won. We heard about the offers, young Mi said, and we have a counter-proposal. Admiral Ji-won stepped forward. I am retiring from active duty. I have had enough of politics and regulations that forget their purpose. If you start this independent service, I will help fund it. I will use my connections to get you resources. Dr. Bo-ra nodded. I am resigning from Earth service. The medical discoveries we made saving Isil are too important to abandon. I want to continue that research. Commander Tae-yang showed his teeth in a smile. I have been censured by my superiors for protecting a human. My career in the Draken military is effectively over. I find I do not mind. Your independent service will need tactical expertise. Young Emi shrugged. You will need legal help navigating the chaos you create. I am volunteering. Daesung looked at them all. You are all willing to give up your careers for this? You gave up yours for what you believed in, Ji-won said. It inspired us. Maybe it is time we all remembered why we chose to serve in the first place. Not for the regulations. For the people those regulations were meant to protect. Isul smiled. So, Captain, what do you say? Ready to ignite more chaos? Daesung thought about it for exactly 3 seconds. When do we start? 6 months after the trial, the ship formerly known as the Horizon's Hope completed its repairs and received a new name painted across its hull in bright letters. Last Chance. It was a battered corvette that had seen better days, purchased cheap from a salvage yard and rebuilt with spare parts and determination. Daesung stood in the cargo bay, watching his new crew load supplies. It still felt strange to see them all here. Admiral Ji-won, no longer wearing her uniform, coordinating logistics with the efficiency of someone who had spent 30 years in command. Dr. Bora, setting up a medical bay that somehow combined human Draken and 4 other species technologies into one chaotic but functional space. Commander Tae-yang, checking weapon systems with the thoroughness that came from surviving too many battles. Young Mi, buried in legal documents, making sure their independent status protected them from at least some of the regulations they were about to violate. And Isul, standing beside him, watching it all with those golden eyes. Having second thoughts? She asked. Every day, Daesung admitted. We have no government backing. No official authority. We are operating in legal gray areas. This could all fall apart. Yes, Isul agreed. It is perfect. They had named the organization the Horizon Initiative. The mission was simple. Respond to distress calls that fell through the cracks. Help people the official channels ignored. Prevent conflicts before they started. It was idealistic, probably doomed to fail, and exactly what Daesung wanted to do. The funding came from unlikely sources. Independent colonies who valued action over bureaucracy. Merchants who benefited from stable trade routes. Even some wealthy individuals who had watched the trial and decided they wanted to support something that put conscience before regulations. It was not much money, but it was enough to start. Captain, Tae-yang called from the bridge. We are receiving a distress signal. Daesung and Isul hurried to the bridge. The small space was cramped, designed for a crew of 5 but holding 7. Tae-yang pulled up the message on the main screen. It is from the Outer Rim, he said. A Vornaxi settlement under attack by automated weapons. They are requesting immediate assistance. Young Mi looked up from her datapad. Vornaxi? The same species that tried to start a war? Not the same group, Isul said, reading the details. This is a colony of dissenters who left the consortium after the conspiracy was exposed. They opposed the warlords who worked with Hyunwoo. How convenient, Young Mi said. First call, and it is already politically complicated. It gets better, Tae-yang added. The automated weapons are council-made. Military grade. Someone left them active after evacuating the sector. Or someone activated them deliberately, Ji-won said. She was studying tactical displays. Those weapon systems are too advanced to still be running on automatic. Someone is controlling them. Daesung felt something cold settle in his stomach. The conspiracy. We exposed Hyunwoo and the main players, but we did not get everyone. You think this is revenge? Dr. Bora asked, or a message. Attack the Vornaxi dissenters who helped expose the conspiracy. Make it look like an accident. He turned to his crew. Council forces are too far away. Response time is at least 8 hours. How many people in that settlement? Tae-yang checked. 347. Mostly civilians, families. Ji-won pulled up jurisdiction maps. This sector is technically neutral space, but there are about a dozen treaties that govern who can operate here. If we go in, we will be violating at least 6 of them. So a normal day for us, Daesung said. Everyone strap in. We are going, Young Mi sighed. I will start drafting the legal defense now. The Last Chance jumped to faster-than-light travel, heading toward the Outer Rim. During the 3-hour journey, they planned. The automated weapons were defense platforms, designed to shoot down ships that entered the sector. Heavily armored, equipped with advanced targeting systems. We cannot just fly in, Tae-yang said. They will destroy us before we reach the settlement. What if we do not fly in? Dr. Bora suggested. What if we crash? Everyone looked at her. She blushed. Not literally crash, but if we appear damaged, if we look like we are out of control, the automated systems might categorize us as debris instead of a threat. That could work, Dae-sung said slowly. We vent atmosphere, shut down most systems, drift in on emergency power only. The platforms might ignore us long enough to get close. And if they do not, Ji-won asked, then we improvise. Humans are good at that. They dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the sector. Immediately, sensors picked up 6 defense platforms spread around the settlement. Each one was tracking dozens of escape pods and small ships trying to flee. As they watched, a platform fired. A family transport exploded silently in the void. They are killing evacuees, Isol said, her voice tight with anger. Not for long. Dae-sung began shutting down systems. Bora, vent some atmosphere. Make it look good. Tae-young, I need you to kill main power, but keep weapons on standby. Ji-won, plot us a trajectory that looks like a dying ship's final orbit. They went dark. The last chance tumbled through space, venting gas, systems flickering. To any automated sensor, they looked like wreckage. The defense platforms ignored them. It is working, Ji-won whispered, as if speaking too loud might alert the weapons. They drifted closer to the settlement, passing between 2 platforms. Dae-sung could see the Vornaxi colonists below, huddled in shelters, trapped. When they were close enough, he gave the order, now. Systems came back online all at once. Tae-yang fired missiles at the nearest platform. The explosion lit up the darkness. Before the other platforms could react, the last chance was diving toward the surface. Isol, get on the comm. Tell the colonists to stay in their shelters. We are going to draw the platform's fire. Dae-sung pulled the ship into a tight turn that made the hull groan. A plasma bolt scorched past them. This is insane, Young Mai shouted from her station. Complaints can be filed after we survive. Dae-sung shot back. The last chance was not a military ship. It was not fast or heavily armed, but it was piloted by someone who had spent years learning how to survive against better-equipped enemies. Dae-sung used the settlement structures for cover, diving between buildings using debris as shields. The platforms fired constantly, but he stayed ahead of them. Tae-yang, can you disable those platforms? Not while flying like this. I need a stable firing position. Then we give you one. Everyone hold tight.